You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello, and welcome to episode 322 of the Rusted Robot Podcast for Sunday, January 24th, 2021.
My name is Optimus Prime.
Hello, I am C-3PO Human Cyborg Relations.
I am Locutus, a Borg.
You're like a machine underneath, right? But sort of alive outside?
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
I'm an android.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
Counterfeit, facsimile, replica.
We need some sort of robot. Ah, crap! I'm some sort of robot.
Hey everybody, it's your host Sean back at you with another exciting episode of the Rusted Robot Podcast. And this time I've got another special guest. You already know who he is if you were paying attention to last week's episode. Dan from the Temporal Trek Podcast, as well as my co-host on Cosmic Pizza. How are you, buddy?
I'm fine. How are you, my friend? I think you're on some leave, aren't you?
Yes, I'm officially on holidays, and I've got a week off, which I need for my mental health, so I'm going to do some podcasting.
Why not? But no, I'm good. Just getting over some little mini stresses here with the family. We had a mini crisis where we thought the middle child had COVID, but thankfully just today we got a negative test back, so he is perfectly fine.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. Now, how is Temporal Trek coming along? Let's give you a bit of the spotlight here for a moment.
Well, it was coming along. Over the Christmas period, I managed to release a couple of episodes, and I almost caught up, but then I've fallen behind again. I'm currently now in Season 2, which means the 21st century. There's not actually a lot of episodes for Season 2 because they haven't actually travelled to the 21st century quite a bit. So I've got 2 more to record.
Okay.
Then I've got a little sort of bonus episode in the pipeline, and then it's going to be First Contact, which is huge. It's already pre-recorded, and I did it about 6 or 7 months ago with Steve Bauman from the Play on Nerds podcast, and also from Muppet Trek and several other podcasts that those guys have got. And then my friend Andy, who was my best man at my wedding and all that sort of thing. Neither of them are Star Trek fans. So 2 of them talking about like a Star Trek that they got into it, they really went into it, they were evaluating the hell out of it. And then there was me trying to defend Star Trek to 2 non-Star Trek fans in arguably one of the best movies ever made.
Yes. And
it went on for about 3 to 4 hours. So it took a while. I've already started trying to edit it, and it's proving a challenge.
I don't doubt it. I know I was supposed to be on that recording with you, but we had a bit of a scheduling conflict, so that didn't quite work out. But Definitely looking forward to hearing it.
I needed you.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's my favorite Star Trek movie, so I'm totally on board.
Yes, I kind of feel like I should just do a time travel trip back to it.
You probably should.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll be talking a little bit about Star Trek later on in a spoiler-filled review. But listeners, don't worry, we're going to put the timestamp index on there for when you can skip if you haven't watched those particular episodes. But I figured what we would do is we would start with the very, very sad news of celebrity death of the week. First, we had none, and then all of a sudden we had a flurry of them at the end of the last week. So we're recording Saturday, the 23rd of January, and this morning, American talk show host Larry King died at the age of 87. You know who that is, of course?
Yeah, I'm sort of aware of him. I can't really say that he's sort of crossed over here, across the pond too much. You don't really get many of his interviews over here. But yeah, I mean, he's permeated the culture. He's everywhere. There's always a reference to Larry King in some movie or a comedy or something like that. So yeah.
Okay, good. And just according to the article here, I won't get into the whole thing, but for 63 years and across the platforms of radio, television, and digital media, Larry's many thousands of interviews, awards, and global acclaim stand as a testament to his unique and lasting talent as a broadcaster. The statement read, tells us here he was 87. He was hospitalized a little bit ago for the virus. He was a longtime nationally syndicated radio host from 85 through 2010. He was a nightly fixture on CNN where he won many honors, including 2 Peabody Awards, and he conducted an estimated 50,000 on-air interviews, which is absolutely amazing.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's a lot. So
that's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was shocking news for Larry King fans, and I'm sure the family and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got another celebrity death that I mentioned before we started recording, and you don't know who this guy is, but that's okay.
Nope.
It's more of an American thing. We've got home run king Hank Aaron died at the age of 86.
It's a name I've heard. I know Hank Aaron is sort of, again, it's one of those things that pops up in other like TV and sitcoms, and everyone mentions it, but I just had no idea or frame of reference.
No, and I only really know who he is because I used to collect baseball cards back in the late 80s and early 90s. So I'm not a huge baseball fan, of course. But all right, so the article says Hall of Famer, former home run king Hank Aaron dies at 86. And I'll just read a brief bit of the article here. Henry Louis Hank Aaron died Friday morning. His daughter confirmed. The Atlanta Braves legend was 86. He was a 25-time All-Star. He played in the Major League Baseball League from 1954 to 76, almost entirely with the Braves, first in Milwaukee and then in Atlanta. In 1957, he led the organization to its first World Series title since 1914, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1982. And it says here he famously passed Babe Ruth on the all-time home run leaderboard in 1974 with his 715th shot. He finished his career with 755, and it stood for 31 years until Barry Bonds passed him in 2007. So he still has the game's all-time leader in RBIs and total bases, and he ranks third in career hits. He also won 3 Gold Gloves as well as the National League batting title in 56 and 59, and the 1957 NL MVP award and the 1970 Lou Gehrig Memorial Award for Character. He was also the first player in history to reach 500 home runs and 3,000 hits. That's a little bit more than you knew before, and all of our baseball fans who listen to our geeky pop culture podcast will be very sad to hear this news.
Absolutely. No.
It
sounds like a great accomplishment. I have literally no idea what it's talking about.
Yeah, no, that's all very high-tech specific baseball stuff, and it's not really geeky, but I knew who the guy was, so I figured I'd mention it, and it ties in because he was the home run king, and we also lost Larry King, so it's just kind of a segue flowing thing, you know.
The Kings all died.
The Kings?
Yeah, I see.
Yeah,
I get you.
passing to the Kings. But
You're the weaver. Yeah, you bring it all together.
That's right. That's what we do here on the podcast. We just tie everything into one big pile of I don't know what. But anyway, we'll move on to the death that really affects us here in the pop culture sphere. I think it was yesterday that the news broke, and I shared it with you and Paul on our little Facebook chat, and it's been bugging me for the last, I don't know how long. It hurts because Mira Furlan, the actress best known for her roles as Danielle Rousseau on Lost and the Minbari ambassador Delenn on Babylon 5, passed away. She was 65. She was in poor health for some time. She was actually quite a fascinating person, and I shared 2 articles to our Facebook page because I figured I just needed our listeners to know. So she was born in 1955 in Zagreb, which was at that time a part of Yugoslavia. She was a member of the Croatian National Theater, which traveled the region. She first earned notice in the U.S. in 1985's award-winning When Father Was Away on Business. And then by the 90s, she found herself primarily in American productions, serving as the voice of Silver Sable in Spider-Man the Animated Series. And in addition to Babylon 5 and Lost, she made appearances in NCIS and Law & Order. And for the rest of her life, she performed in TV and film, both in the U.S. and Europe. And her final on-screen appearance was a feature film called Burning at Both Ends, which has yet to be released. Have you watched Babylon 5?
Oh, yes, yeah. All the way through, all the extra movies. She was just one of those standout performances. She sort of embodied the character beyond sort of just, delivering the lines and things like that. It's one of those performances that really stood out in the whole series.
Yes, definitely. She was a major force. And actually, J. Michael Straczynski, who created Babylon 5 and hired her, wrote a very touching statement. And normally I don't read these things on the podcast, but it needs to be acknowledged. This is like a huge death. It's like when we lost Carrie Fisher or Leonard Nimoy. It's that kind of thing. So what he wrote is, "It is a night of great sadness, for our friend and comrade has gone down the road where we cannot reach her. But, as with all things, we will catch up with her in time, and I believe she will have many stories to tell us and many new roles to share with the universe." When Mira Furlan came to audition for Babylon 5, her home country of Yugoslavia was in turmoil and shattering into two separate countries. During our first meeting, we spoke about her work and her life, and I learned that she had been part of a touring theater group that continued to cross borders of the disintegrating country despite receiving death threats from both sides in the Civil War. I expressed my admiration for her courage, but she shrugged and waved it off. "What's the worst that could have happened? Yes, they could have killed me. So what? Art should have no borders." Very few people knew that side of Mira, the fiery, fearless side that fought ceaselessly for her art. She brought all of those traits to Delenn, and in turn I tried to write speeches for her that would allow her to comment on what was happening to her homeland without calling it out by name. I guess I must have done it correctly, because one day during the Minbari Civil War arc, she appeared in my office door, a cup of tea in one hand, in full makeup, but wearing a pullover robe from wardrobe, and said, "So how long did you live in Yugoslavia?" Her husband, Goran, has always been the rock of her life. He was and is a gentleman, quick to laughter, an accomplished director, and as much an artist as Mira, which made them both the ideal couple. I've rarely seen two people so utterly meant for each other. I remember the first time Mira appeared at a convention with me and some of the other cast. She didn't quite understand what it was all about, but gamely did her part. When the audience question period came along, a fan held up his hand and said to Mira, whose Yugoslavian accent was much stronger in the beginning than it became with time, "Say moose and squirrel." She had no idea what this meant, but she said moose and squirrel, and the room erupted in one of the longest sustained laughs I've ever seen at a convention. We explained it later, but really, all that mattered to her was that the audience had been happy. We've known for some time now that Mira's health was failing. I'm not sure that this is the right time or place to discuss the sheer randomness of what happened, and have all been dreading this day. We kept hoping that she would improve. In a group email sent to the cast a while back, I heard that she might be improving. Then came the call from Peter Jurasik. "I wanted you to know that Goran's bringing Mira home," he said. Actually, it keeps going on, and it's a little bit difficult to read. I don't know how many times I actually teared up when I was reading this, and earlier today I found some Babylon 5 quotes, which I'm going to play in between the two end credit segments, because it just shows how powerful of an actress that she was. And I know that our good co-host buddy Paul was quite upset as well. He's a huge Babylon 5 fan, and we actually just mentioned her in our last recording of the Cosmic Pizza podcast.
Yeah,
we brought her up, and then now she's gone. Oh, it's just sad. I can't stand it.
Yeah, it was just the thing. Whenever you watched it was almost like Patrick Stewart. You can tell that she's got all that treading the boards in her blood. She delivered the lines like she was a theatrical actress. She wasn't, for the silver screen. She wasn't for the small screen. She was a theatre actor.
Yes.
And every delivery that she would give was just, there was so many layers she would perform. The prequel movie where it goes back, I always come back to this one, but when the first attack happens and the humans fire back, and she's just, she's screaming out because they've killed her best friend. I can't remember the character's name.
Ducat.
And she's calling for war, even though she is the pacifist character. It's so classic, sort of Shakespearean way of acting. And then when I was reading through all the articles that you were posting and all the other things that people have posted, and she was talking about how she was putting on Brechtian plays, and to be a little geeky about my drama background. Brechtian, it's about historicization. It's about acting in plays that are deliberately commenting on the world around you. So the fact that she was given, speeches in Babylon 5 that were talking about what was going on in her homeland, that must have been, Christmas to her.
Oh, for sure.
And it certainly showed.
Definitely. And I can't think of another sci-fi show that has lost so many of its actors. Like, even with Star Trek, the original series, it's a 55-year-old show, and we've still got 4 of the main 7. But with Babylon 5, we lost I don't know how many. We've lost the guy who played Sinclair in the first season. We lost Dr. Franklin. We lost Jakar. We lost Veer. Now we've lost Delenn, and I'm sure there's a few more that we've lost as well.
Yeah.
It's very tragic. I've never seen a sci-fi show that's so recent and lost so many of its people.
It's people need to bubble wrap Peter Jurasik and everyone else who's left. Claudia Christensen as well.
Yes.
No one or nothing is allowed to touch them now.
Exactly. It's been too much. So that made me very sad, and it's all I've been thinking about. And normally celebrity deaths don't affect me like this, but Babylon 5 is my favorite show of all time. I don't know how many times I've seen it. Now I need to do a rewatch again. So, yeah, anyway. So that's the sucky celebrity death of the week. There was a few of them, and they touched us all in different ways. But now I think we should move on to something a little bit more fun. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, all right. So before we get into other stuff, we'll go ahead and we'll play a promo for another podcast right here on the ESO Network.
Howdy, this is Cowboy Jim, and I'm here to talk to you about the Cigar Nerd Podcast. Nothing I like more on the old dusty trail than sitting down and listening to two good old boys who smoke cigars and talk about nerd things like movies and TVs and comic books and all that stuff. So saddle up and ride on over to CigarNerdPodcast.com. They're also on the ESO Network. Yeehaw!
That's a wonderful promo. Go check out that show, you guys and girls out there in podcast land. I think what we'll do now is we'll talk about some recent shows that we've watched before we get into the pop culture news. What do you think?
Sounds pretty good. Yeah. Let's go for it.
Okay. Have you been watching WandaVision?
I haven't, but that's only because my wife and I have gotten into sort of binging, and we want to watch it, but we want to save it all up, and we're going to just go from beginning to end rather than having to wait weekly for every episode.
Okay.
How are you finding it?
Well, episode 3, I watched it last night. It was called Now in Color because the first 2 episodes were black and white, and at the end they started transforming into color. This one was all color. It was a pregnancy episode. It was an accelerated pregnancy. Nothing really happened, but a little bit of stuff happened, and there's a little bit of view of the outside world, so we know that they're in some kind of an artificial reality, but it was kind of boring, and I know that they're leading somewhere with something, and it's going to tie in, but it's like a slow burn. So I'll keep watching it.
Okay.
But it's I'm glad it's only like a half an hour because I don't think I could stand it if it was an hour long. It's that kind of show. I'm sure it'll get better.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that seems to be sort of a trend for at least the MCU TV outings. They take a while to set up the characters. They've got 2 characters from movies, so you kind of know them already. So they might be sort of leaning on that for this show. But when it was Peggy Carter, whether it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., whether it's any of the other things, it took a while for them to get going. But once they did, it really hit home. Maybe they're going the same way with this. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I guess all we can do is wait and see. The other thing that I did was I finished season 1 of Orphan Black. Now, that's a 5-season show. I think there's 50 episodes altogether. When I was recording last week with Paul, I think I'd watched 4 episodes. And then this past Thursday night, I watched the last 6 of season 1 all in a row. So it's a very bingeable show.
Wow.
I want to go back and watch all the rest of it now. I just haven't had a chance. But it's great. And the acting is superb. And it's so realistic. You believe all of it. And the fact that Tatiana Maslany can play 7 or 8 different versions of the same character, and you think that they're different actresses, it's awesome. So I know that you want to go ahead and watch that, and I think you'll like it too.
Yeah, it's on the ever-expanding to-do list of shows that keep coming out and wanting to watch. But yeah, like I say, just got to try and find a time to do it.
Yeah, that's the hard part. What have you been watching lately? Anything good and interesting?
Well, like I say, wife and I have got this list, so we're steadily making our way through it. I think we've caught up to 2017's programming now. We're a little bit behind, but we've just finished the 2 seasons of American Gods. Season 3 has just started. It's about 2 episodes in already. But like I say, we're going to wait till that's all there and then binge the next season. But American Gods, for anyone who hasn't seen it, is based on a Neil Gaiman book, and it's about all of the cultures that have come to America have also brought all their gods with them, and they live in secret, and nobody knows they're there. Any sort of time that culture has come over, one of their most popular gods will come with them. So in one case, it's Odin. So all the Vikings who came to America first off, they brought Odin and left him there. All the Irish immigrants who came over, they brought over leprechauns, and there's a leprechaun in the show. All of the slaves who were brought over during the slave trade, they brought all of their entire myriad of gods. So you've got a Nancy, who's kind of like the mischievous Loki kind of figure, who's always trying to get people into trouble, or you've got the Queen of Sheba, who is the goddess of sort of love and desire and things like that. And these are all the old gods. Now that America has grown up and is this new sort of state, it's producing its own gods, homegrown, as it were, in Mr. World, who is sort of internationalism, Mr. Technology, not a pretty name there, and Miss Media or Mrs. Media, depending on where she is, and that sort of gradually changes as well. It started off with Gillian Anderson in season 1, and then things change in season 2. But there's a big war now brewing between these two gods, the old gods and the new gods. The old gods were, they live on worship and our praise and our love and respect, and the new gods live on our fear, our time, and our willingness to give them our attention. And it's just the clash between these two. Really good. Crazy as hell. And yet another one of the American TV shows where the two leads are actually Brits doing American accents. So we're taking more American jobs. So that's another reason to watch the show.
Well, that has a good endorsement right there. I do believe I saw the first episode when it came out, and there was a bunch of nudity and somebody eating somebody and sex and nudity and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. Someone gets swallowed by a giant vagina. There's lots of different things happening in that episode. Yeah.
Yeah, I never did go back to it for whatever reason, but you would recommend it?
Yes, absolutely. If only because it gives you an education in all of these old gods, because there's quite a few that you've never heard of before, and you just spend after watching the episode, you spend time on the wiki just looking up all these old gods and all the old legends, and you inform yourself. So it's an educational experience, if anything else.
Ah, okay, very good, very good. All right, and anything else that you've been watching that you would recommend?
We are almost finished on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have been watching for years. We have been, from the day one, we were watching the whole series. Absolutely loved it. It's a good bit of fun. It's changed so much. Each season just completely, changes the format of the show. Roughly speaking, the characters are all the same. They lost a few characters and they brought new ones in. But we're now on season 7, the final season. Coulson is still there. You've still got Agent May from season 1 as well, and you've still got Daisy or Quake, who is the character who was sort of had a mysterious past from the first season, and now we know where she came from and what she does and what her superpower is. And now season 7, they are just reveling in it. It's all time travel, and they're going back and sort of replaying all their greatest hits from all the other seasons, but they're also going to classic time periods. So they've gone to the 1930s, the 1950s. They've met up with Peggy Carter's sort of legacy as well, and all the characters from that. Then they've gone to the 1960s and 70s. Then they went into the 80s, which was the best episode. Every 80s cliche sci-fi movie you can think of, all thrown into one episode, where they were fighting like B-movie robots and stuff like that. It's fantastic. And now they're sort of edging into the 90s as they're trying to make their way back to the normal time period, and 2 episodes to go, and all hell is breaking loose. There's alien invasions, timelines are merging, things are changing, everyone's getting superpowers. It's just gone nuts. It's a great series. They were trying to be too slavish at the beginning in the first 2 seasons to stick to the MCU movies and try and have everything that was happening in the movies affect them. And then they realised that it's just too much work doing that. So they just made their own timeline, and they've just sort of coasted through. Okay. And after season 3, it kind of just then... It follows its own path. It will link up with some of the MC movies, and you do see sort of news reports that you see that sort of going that way. But once you sort of get to the end game period, then it's got its own track, and you can just enjoy it as a fun TV show.
Ah, okay. Because I do believe I saw the first couple episodes when it first came out, and it didn't catch me, so I never went back. But I know my brother Robin has been watching it since it came out, and he talks about it all the time, and he loved it. Probably not something that I'll ever get around to, but I'll add it to the list of things that if I've totally run out of everything else, I'll watch.
The only reason we really started to do it was because we wanted to do the full chronological watch of all the MCU movies and all the tie-ins, all the mini episodes and all the shorts that they did, and that was part of it. So we just stuck with it.
You're all about watching things in chronological order, aren't you?
I know, it's really weird. It's strange. It's almost like I should do a podcast about that. It's crazy.
You should. It would be quite the undertaking, I believe.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do that. The Temporal Marvel podcast. It'll be coming soon.
There you go. Perfect. Can't wait because we always need more podcasts. Who needs work? Who needs sleep?
Absolutely. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now speaking of podcasts, I think we mentioned our good buddies Stephen German of the Play on Nerds podcast. They've really been diving deep into Muppet Trek, where they compare and contrast the original Star Trek show with the original 70s era Muppet show. They do a one-to-one in chronological order thing, and they say how they're pretty much the same episode. And I've been listening to it because I would listen to them reading the phone book because they're hilarious. But
Absolutely.
Good news is that the Muppet Show, all 5 seasons, are headed to Disney Plus and will start streaming in February. Any listener who hasn't yet found the Play on Nerds podcast can actually watch everything as it airs, so they don't have to just listen to the episodes and not know what's going on like I've been doing.
Yeah. Well, I sort of remember most of the episodes because when it was the Muppets, oh God, was it the 20th anniversary? There was a special anyway on I think it was ITV, and they were doing all of the Muppets, so anything, the movies, the TV show, Muppet Babies was on, they put it on the kids TV channel at the time, CITV, and they went all in on Muppets for like a weekend, and they showed everything, all the repeats, and then they kept on going, and obviously until the season lasted. So I'm sort of running on those memories, on nostalgia, trying to remember all the Muppet Trek episodes. The Star Trek ones, I could recite in my sleep, there's no problem.
Yes.
Whether it's VHS, DVD, no matter. But the Muppet ones, I'm like, oh, is that the episode where that? I think that's what that. Oh, is that a sketch? Oh, I don't know. So I'm glad that I can finally catch up, and I can just go back through the podcast and listen to it all over again.
There you go, perfect. Because they're always fun to listen to, and I think I'm on episode 14 where they did the Muppets and Star Trek, and I threw in a Babylon 5 episode because it's my favorite show. So
yes,
that was a fun episode to do. Now speaking of streaming services, did you hear that CBS All Access is relaunching as of March 4th? They're going to call themselves Paramount Plus.
Yeah, they've got a fancy new logo and everything, haven't they?
Yes. Now I don't know if you have that kind of stuff over there in the UK. Do you have CBS All Access or any of that stuff? Do they have a different branding for it, different licensing?
No.
How does that work?
No, it's been a bit of a weird show over here with CBS content. You get most of the CBS shows, like all your NCIS, VIPs, CSI, however many letters you want to put in the alphabet in a title. That's all on Sky. Then you've got Star Trek. And Star Trek isn't in one single place. Most of it is on Netflix, but the rest is then on Prime. So you've got Picard and now Lower Decks as of a couple of days ago. You've got that on Prime, and it's all sort of everywhere. I think you can get HBO Max in this country, and I think you can get Hulu, but that doesn't really seem to have much content over here. But I wish all of Trek was just in one place. It would be nice to have. Admittedly, it is another subscription I'd probably have to fork out for, but there you go.
Right, like how many do we need, right? So
Exactly, yeah.
It basically tells us Paramount Plus will be a much expanded rebrand of CBS All Access, the subscription service that launched in 2014. It combined live streaming of CBS's network programming with its 150 plus local affiliates, including NFL games, with a menu of original series, catch-up viewing, and library shows. And with the relaunch, Paramount Plus will also feature dedicated hubs for Viacom CBS's core cable properties, including Nickelodeon, MTV, BET, and Comedy Central, for a total of some 30,000 titles. We don't have CBS All Access or Paramount Plus here in Canada either. We get most of that stuff on Crave or Netflix or wherever we can find it, regular cable. But I don't know. I guess that's good news for some people. They just have to really advertise the heck out of it.
There's the logo. Yeah, there's the logo that I saw, which is the blue background with the Paramount font, and it's got the plus on the end. And then I saw one where it was all the figures, all the people from different TV shows all sort of standing around the word Paramount. And you've got Paw Patrol, which is my way of actually justifying it if I have to pay out for the subscription for the kids. And then you've got SpongeBob. You've got Michael Burnham from Discovery, sort of front and center. The thing that confused me though is that Paramount owns probably two of the most sort of successful action franchises, money-wise successful, which is Transformers and the Turtles movies, which made a heck of a lot of money, but they're not in that. So does Paramount Plus not have any movies, or is it just TV?
I don't know. We'd have to ask our American listeners about that. And if they would like to write in and let us know, it's therustedrobot@gmail.com. Tell us how CBS All Access / Paramount Plus actually works. What the heck is on there? Who has it? Are you enjoying it? Is it a good deal? We want to know.
Yeah, because if they want to sell, in international markets, and the Chinese markets made them a heck of a lot of money on Transformers, you'd think that maybe they would put Transformers in their pantheon, as it were.
You would think so, but we're not high-level power executives, so what do we know, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Paramount, if you're listening, just give us a call. Yeah, that's our idea. Put Transformers in the Paramount Plus, and then maybe more people will buy it. Just putting it out there.
And all we want is a 1% kickback on the subscription fees.
That's it, just 1%. We're not greedy. That's it. That's all we need.
That's hardly anything. So it's time for rumors. Are you ready for some rumors?
Oh, let's go for rumors. Yeah, it's always good.
Okay. Apparently, Batman the Animated Series is going to get a sequel from HBO Max.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. There's an article.
That's another, that maybe. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, there's an article on the Facebook page that I shared. It doesn't actually give too much information. It doesn't actually confirm whether this is going to happen. I guess they were talking about it on Kevin Smith's podcast, and he says he's not involved, but it says it could happen as soon as 2022, but no official word about this has been announced by Warner Media, so we don't actually know if it's just a rumor or if it's something that's been leaked or if it's going to happen or not. But that's the latest rumor for Batman the Animated Series, which is one of the best cartoons I think they've ever made.
Yeah, it's like the Transformers thing. It's one of the most popular IPs that they've got. If they want to sell HBO Max as like the home of Warner Brothers and all that sort of stuff, knowing that the DCU hasn't exactly panned out for them, go back to the best of what they've offered in the past. Go back to the animated series and offer some classics. If they can bring Mark Hamill back as the Joker, if they can get Kevin Conroy as Batman, keep them coming back, then get all the other characters that they never got round to really showing much. Bring them back. Why not?
It would be awesome, I think. Yes, because I've been meaning to buy that on DVD or Blu-ray for a while, but I've never pulled the trigger because it's like $100, and I'm like, well, every once in a while I catch an episode on TV, so do I need to buy the thing? No, because I've got so many DVDs and Blu-rays that I don't watch as it is. Do I need more that I'm not going to watch? So there's that. Now we have a casting rumor from GiantFreakingRobot.com. So because it's from those guys, you definitely have to take that with a grain of salt because they're always full of crap. But there's an article that I shared which actually doesn't have too much information on it, but they're saying that Michael Fassbender is going to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but he won't be playing Magneto this time. They are looking at him for playing Victor Von Doom in the Fantastic Four reboot. What do you think about that? There's no official word, and the article goes on to say
no official words.
Blah blah blah. So it's always when it's from those kind of websites, you have to take it with a large, hefty grain of salt. But it could happen. Yeah, I mean, as one of those fantasy castings and things like that, I could see that working. He could pull off that kind of arrogant Victor Von Doom side if they're going to go the route, the comic where it's him as the the beautiful man who's just got one scar and the only reason he wears the metal mask is to hide his features and things like that. That sounds great. I think Fassbender could easily pull that off. I would have probably seen him more as a kind of Mr. Fantastic. Though. Okay. If I was going to pick one of the Fantastic Four sort of pantheon, I don't know, I probably would have gone that route with him. I don't know why. I think, he's been a villain. Why having him as a villain again? Play against type, give him something new to do. It'd be fun to see him, play it up as someone bumbling all the time and someone not necessarily getting everything right, and being, the suave Fassbender that we've seen for other shows as well. Yes. He can play comedy. I've seen him in quite lots of comedies. He can do it. So why not play, the bumbling hero? Now, I'm going to read one paragraph from this article because whoever wrote this article was friggin' hilarious. So I just got to share it with the world here. It starts by saying, Michael Fassbender as Dr. Doom makes a lot of sense. The character is usually portrayed as hyper-intelligent and aloof, something Fassbender does well. Doom was first played on screen by Julian McMahon in 2005's Fantastic Four. Julian McMahon is sort of a low-rent Michael Fassbender, so bringing in the real deal to play the iconic Marvel villain makes a lot of sense. And I, too, laughed out loud when I read that. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a bit insulting, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, I've never seen him that way, but now I cannot think of him in any other way.
Right? Now I have to go back and watch the original Fantastic Four just to compare. Because that's hilarious. It's not a good movie, but...
That is hilarious. Oh, that is pretty funny. Thinking of the low rent Michael Fassbender, he was really good in the Runaways, the other Marvel TV outing. I don't know, did you ever get to see that?
I think I saw the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then I think they changed channels or time slots, and I never caught up with it again. But who was in that?
He eventually got cancelled, but he was actually the villain in season 3 of 4, I think. No, season 1, and then into season. Sorry, McMahon. He was not Fassbender, but the low rent Fassbender.
Okay.
He was the villain. He was he was sort of an alien, all-knowing figure who could live forever, but he had to regenerate himself by feeding off a person every now and then, sort of like an alien vampire sort of character.
Oh, fun.
But he was good fun. I mean, he could easily play another villain in the MCU because he has that campy side. Whereas, like I say, Fassbender, he can do aloof. He could do that kind of menacing villain, like he did with Magneto, which I thought he was one of the best parts of the reboot in the First Class. But give him something different to do. Make him funny.
Yeah, that would be something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's it for casting news and rumors and TV show reboots and whatnot. We do, however, have an interesting-looking sci-fi space epic from Korea. I'm going to play the trailer, but our listeners need to be aware that it's a lot of sounds, noise. There is some English and a bit of Korean language in there, so I'm just going to go ahead and play it, and we'll be right back.
With Earth no longer habitable, the only place left to go was up.
Welcome to the orbit.
Space debris, 1.7 tons.
저건 400 나온다. 밟아.
맨날 나만 일하는 것 같은 기분이 들지.
슬슬 마무리하자. 정말 열심히들 산다 진짜. 오늘도 한번 벌어볼까?
피곤해.
뭐야 너?
그 차 안에 있었다고?
그 난리통에 어떻게 살아남았는지 몰라.
The robot is extremely dangerous. It is nearly indistinguishable from a real human child, but is actually a dangerous weapon that could cause mass destruction.
돈이 되는 꼬마란 말이야.
그 폭탄을 검은 여우단에 되팔아보겠다.
Dos millones, en efectivo.
Y no llegues tarde. No esperamos mucho tiempo.
뭐야 저거?
처음부터 이상하게 안 될 것 같더라.
넌 뭐 꼭 안 되면 안 될 줄 알았다더라. 안 괜찮아질 것 같아.
목숨이 아깝다면 당장 도망치고 아니라면
와서 싸워라.
Okay, now if you understood that, you probably didn't unless you're Korean. So a little bit of Korean content for our Korean listeners over there. I know there's 1 or 2 of you. I would recommend going to our Facebook page and watching the trailer because it's been subtitled, so you can actually understand what they're talking about. But it looks amazing. It's a space crew. They're a bunch of junkers. They found some salvage, and there's a girl robot explosive device in the junk, and they're trying to decide whether they should sell it for the money because they're desperate for money, or if they should protect her. It looks amazing. It's coming to Netflix, I think, February 5th, I think it said. You've seen the trailer?
Yes, yeah. The robot character intrigued me. We're seeing him doing his thing on the outside of the spaceship and throwing what kind of looked like a space spear or something towards another object. Yeah, it was very strange. But he kind of looked a little bit like a cross between Baymax and K2SO from
yes, Rogue One. Exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, from Rogue One. It looks original. I can say that. It couldn't place it against anything else. I couldn't think of any other movie that's done something like that.
No, it looks wild and crazy. It looks like it's got frenetic action. It looks like the effects are really good.
Yeah.
According to the article, it was supposed to hit theaters, but because of COVID, it didn't. So Netflix bought the international rights for it. We just have to wait 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and then we'll be able to watch it, and I think we should.
Yeah, I think why not? Yeah, we'll do a Cosmic Pizza Rusted Robot crossover. Just get the three of us, and we'll watch it.
Perfect. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Who's your cat friend there? What's his or her name?
Yeah, this is Millie. She's been a guest on many a podcast, whether it's Temporal, whether it's Cosmic, and now she's on the Rusted. This is Millie, or short for Maleficent, because she's an evil cat, otherwise known as Mildred Taylor Bradford, which is her full cat name.
Oh, very nice.
And she likes the microphone. So I apologise if I sound like a cat. It's her, honestly.
Well, you know what? It wouldn't be a Rusted Robot episode without a cat making noise in the background, so it kind of fits.
Absolutely.
Since we don't have Josh and Kitty lately because of lockdown, there you go. Okay, so I think now is a good time to warn our listeners that we're going to do a spoiler-filled review of some recent Star Trek TV shows. We're going to talk about it, and then right here, I'm going to insert the time index of when the spoilers are going to be over with.
Editor's note. Spoilers will end at 59 minutes and 45 seconds.
I don't know yet because we haven't finished talking, but I'll put that in later. All right, so listeners, you have been warned. We are going to be spoiling the heck out of Star Trek Discovery and possibly Lower Decks.
What's that word you use?
Spoilers.
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 Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers. Spoilers. Now there's a spoiler for you. You and your secrets.
All right.
Absolutely.
So you just got Lower Decks because the international rights hit Amazon this week, and apparently you've watched all 10 episodes already?
Yes, I've been sneaking it in between changing nappies and chores, and any time I can watch it. I haven't watched a single episode in one sitting. It's been like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but I managed to get through all 10, 2 days. It's been absolutely fun. Best way you can spend all your side times, other than listening to the Rusted Robot podcast, of course.
Of course.
But it just felt like the Star Trek we needed right now. Just a nice, fun adventure in the Star Trek universe for 10 episodes.
Yes, exactly. Now I haven't seen it since it finished airing at the beginning of October, so my memories might not be super clear like yours are because you just finished watching. But from what I remember, it was hilarious. The acting was great. The first episode was a little bit intense and frenetic and a little bit too much, but they tied it all together. The fact that we had Riker show up to save the day at the end, we had Pac-Leds, we had Kurtwood Smith in one episode.
Oh, yeah.
Q in another episode.
John Delancey.
Yes. Tell me your overall impressions and what you took away from it.
Like you, from the first episode, it felt like they wanted to throw all the concepts so that we knew who all the characters were, and they were throwing so much into 20 minutes. It felt a bit rushed. But once you relaxed into it and you realised, you kind of understood where all these sitcom characters were coming from, the whole season it was perfect. As a season one goes, now comparing it to all the other latest offerings we've had, we've got Discovery and Picard and all the sort of short treks as well, which you could probably say is the closest comparison because of the amount of time they've got to get into a concept, deliver a piece of entertainment, and then get out and deliver the conclusion. It was just so good. The level of detail, there's the fan service, there's all the Easter eggs, the references,
the lists,
the lists of everything that you can come into. You could pause it at every second and there'll be a new thing you'd notice. Mm-hmm. But just the way it felt Star Trek-y. You've got all these characters who, even when they're, slacking off and trying not to work, they're getting their buffer zones to work with, so that they've got, inflated repair estimates for 5 hours to repair something that takes 5 minutes. But they still do it because they love exploration, they love Starfleet, they love being out there in space. It felt like Star Trek. You've got a random ship out there with this crew, and they're just enjoying having the time of their lives out in space. It was just, of all the season ones we've had so far, definitely my top one.
Now, would you agree with the fact, or not, I guess it's not a fact, it's my opinion, that there was more character development in these 10 episodes for these 4 characters than in 3 seasons of Discovery for the bridge crew of the Discovery?
I had the exact same thought. I knew more about Tandy, I knew more about Boimler, I now know more about both Branwood and Mariner than I know about Detmer, Owu, Reese, Bryce, Pollard, Dr. Pollard, the other Doctor in Discovery, who have had 3 seasons and we know nothing about them other than Owu. Owu, we get one thing, but I'll come into that when we come into Discovery. But in one season, 20 minutes each for 10 episodes, and they've done more for us to love these characters than anything that Discovery has done with those extra characters. Now, I admit that I know it's a centric show in Discovery of Michael Burnham and some of the periphery characters for her. But come on, even Deep Space Nine had this massive cast, and we knew more about, Brunt, FCA. Morn. We knew more about, Morn. We knew more about Morn than we know about most of the main bridge characters in Discovery. Come on.
And the one thing I do like about Lower Decks is that it's got a very Next Generation feel, and they put the title of the episode on the screen, which Picard and Discovery don't do, and I miss that.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. It plants you straight in. I missed having the random pre-credits set up. Lovely, absolutely amazing title sequence. I've been humming the theme tune over and over and over again. And then, you got your title, you know what it's going to be about because you can kind of decipher why they've picked that as the title, and you know that you're going to just have an interesting time. And there have been some genuine surprises. It's not felt predictable, which has been my main thing for all of these new shows, whether it's Picard, Discovery, or now Lower Decks. It hasn't felt predictable. Unlike Enterprise, unlike Voyager, it was starting to get a bit tired. We knew that by the end of the episode there was going to be a Prime Directive debate. There was going to be one character who's going to get a fist fight, or someone's going to get abducted, and then they'll all be back on the ship and it will all look exactly the same. This one was trying to do something different. It felt like it was the Star Trek universe. It felt familiar, but they just moved it on. They've moved on the way that the episodes can be run. And there were genuine surprises by the end.
Yes, and it was fun, and it didn't take itself too seriously, and it tied into canon, and it gave us some surprises, like you said. I know co-host Josh never did get around to watching it, but
I think he should.
He should, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
if he has to pick between the 3 shows, this is the one.
There can be only one. No, that's something else. That's totally different. But okay, so let's do some spoiler talk for Discovery.
Black alert. Black alert.
Especially the last couple episodes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so first thing, what did you think about the cause of the burn? It was a temper tantrum.
Okay. Yeah. When you say it like that, it's ridiculous. But that wasn't the thing that bothered me in the last episode. We've seen this before. You've got Kevin Uxbridge from TNG. We've got a imbued, powerful character who was so distraught at the death of his wife, he then wipes out an entire alien species completely out of all of existence. So fair enough, there have been powerful people who've been perhaps born that way, or in this case made that way because of where they lived, just like Charlie X in TOS, just like tons of other characters we've seen. So the idea that because he was born in this dilithium rich area, his body was morphed or mutated, so that if he has a trauma, that would impact the crystals around him, and because they're subspace, all of that technobabble, that absolute space magic, all that worked for me. But when you say it, The burn was caused by a kid having a screaming tantrum. I mean, all right, yeah, okay, yeah, his mum died, so that's genuine. I'm not going to have a go at people's trauma. Yes, that is traumatic. But personally, I was kind of hoping that this was going to be a big play on climate change story. If you're going to make Star Trek Discovery about issues, yes. And the first season was all about identity, the second season was all about faith and placing your faith in people, the third one, as a relevant issue to today, something that's going to last long into the future, climate change would have made more sense to me as the reasoning. Yes, it doesn't give you a bad guy, someone to like put up there and say, yeah, you're the villain, we have to stop you, or in this case, heal you. But it kind of felt like it should have been something that they could have overcome. They could have developed a technology to stop it from ever happening again, because, we're Starfleet and we know how and we do well. Ultimately coming back, and I know the whole season was about trauma, so that was the story they wanted to tell. I felt like it should have been a bit more about a faceless climate change type enemy that we as Starfleet have failed against because we haven't looked beyond ourselves and then gone on to solve. Not necessarily in one season. No. It could have been the arc for the whole seasons, but yeah, it could have been something better.
If we all work together, we can fix this.
Yeah. And it's a genuine... It's the only arcing problem I think I have for Discovery in total, is that they seem to like to have their cake and eat it. They love setting up these wonderful mystery boxes, these stories that they can explore, and they throw in new characters for us. They give us loads of stuff and like, oh, why is this happening? Why is this going to happen? Why have we got this new Andorian? And he seems to be, the thorn in the side for the big villain, Osira. And then they kill him off. They forget about them. They write it off in 2 seconds of dialogue, and yet they could build so much of a bigger story out of what they've given us, and they go for the quick ending. That's the big problem. It's quick endings, loads of setup, and quick endings which haven't quite played up.
They keep wasting the
Exactly. 3 seasons, and they haven't done the potential. They haven't done all of the payoffs that really need to be done. They've given us tons of mystery, and I have enjoyed Discovery. I do love Discovery. The visuals, the writing, the characters, they're all developed. They are Starfleet characters, but they are flawed. Unlike, say, Lower Decks, which are Starfleet characters. They're almost there. They just got to push themselves to be a bit better. But yeah, it's the endings. It's the endings for all 3 seasons that have really been the downer for me. And, of course, turbo lifts in huge open spaces.
Exactly. I've been listening to podcasts for the last 2 weeks about this, and it's the cavernous space inside the Discovery. Where are the turbo lifts located? How come the ship is the size of a Dyson sphere? Like, none of this makes any sense. It's totally ridiculous.
And that normally doesn't bother me. Like, if they've changed the layout, Discovery went through a refit, I could argue it. Yeah, they changed how they worked.
Programmable matter, hand wavy, whatever. Yes, it's fine.
Perfect.
Like visually, it was fantastic. That whole scene.
Yeah,
it made
absolutely.
no sense logically wise. Just like the visuals when they are doing ship battles, I can never see what's happening. What ships are fighting what? It's too dark. I miss practical models. Never mind this newfangled CGI crap. I want to see what's going on. I don't want hints of it.
Not to get into it, but comparing the finale of Lower Decks, again, it wasn't a season arc, it wasn't building up to anything, it was just something that happened in the episode. But you saw the Cerritos up against the main alien bad guy, up against the person who comes in to rescue them, and you know where each ship is. You can sort of picture it and visualize where things are.
It all makes sense.
But you can't do it. You can't do it with Discovery, and you could barely do it in Picard. It was only when the fleet came in at the end with Riker that you kind of saw where all the ships were.
Yes.
But yeah, it was frenetic. If there is that cavernous space, what is the point in having a ship that big? Why bother wasting all your energy running a turbo lift to a point that isn't connected? Just shrink the ship, make it smaller, and then you don't need turbo lifts. You can just walk from one place to the other.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
No. And we had a theme going. In the final episode of Picard, Riker came to the rescue. In the final episode of Lower Decks, Riker came to the rescue. Where was Riker in the finale of Discovery? Like, I wanted 3 for 3.
Exactly. I wanted that too. I mean, another fleet came to the rescue. Yes. Have you noticed that all of the finales, another group of people come in to rescue our heroes. At the moment, they haven't done a single new series where it's our heroes get themselves out of trouble.
It's true.
So I'm kind of getting a bit tired of that as a trope. I kind of hope that we get, a bit more best of both worlds, where it's the Enterprise, it's the hero ship that does the saving for once. It would be quite nice.
Yes, that would be good. That would be good. And another point of contention that I've seen online and on different podcasts is at the end, after Burnham is promoted to captain, the final scene is her saying, "Let's fly." Because that's going to be her tagline. It's no make it so. It's not get it done. It's not hit it. It's not engage. I think we were joking the other day. She should have said, "Let's burn it." Because
let's burn it. It's written there.
Yes. Yeah, her name is Burnham. They just discovered what the cause of the burn is. They want to burn rubber and get the heck out of Dodge. Let's just say, "Okay, gang, let's burn it," or something to that effect. Like that's what they should have done.
They could have had a nice, light-hearted, typical TOS ending where everyone's laughing, and like Tilly turns around and said, "Oh, too soon." They could have made a joke out of it. They could have had that kind of witty banter, and we think, "Oh, now Discovery's going to be the light-hearted show that it needs to be. It needs to lighten up just a little bit."
Yes. And
it's taking itself too seriously.
And the only other alternative that I thought, because her boyfriend is Booker, she should have said, "Let's book it."
Let's book it. Let's book it. There's so many different ones. I would have thought, jump to it because the ship can jump. There's loads of things. There's so many other things. And Let's Fly. I mean, I've come to sort of agree with it only if you think back to the third episode with Lorca, and he says we're developing a new way to fly.
Right.
So I'm thinking it's her way of saying, like, it's kind of like a verbal flipping the bird. She's just going to him like, "Yeah, I'm in charge of the thing that flies now." So that I'm saying, "Let's fly." So if you look at it that way, and it's her sort of sassy way of getting back at Lorca, that's how I'm going to headcanon it from now on. But there's so many other ones they could have done. Especially because they were building that up with Saru as well.
Right.
That he was trying to think of what he was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah, so it was cute. It was cute. She performed it well, but to hear me talk, it sounds like I'm bashing it. But I friggin' love Discovery. I love Lower Decks. I love Picard. I just love Star Trek in general. I know there's things where it has its flaws and whatever. I just don't care. I enjoy the heck out of it.
No, I enjoyed every other episode. That's it. I do love Discovery. The character work, the writing is impeccable because you are getting so much more deeper exploration of a character's motivations than what we got even in TNG, even like the high period of Star Trek, where you've got these characters, but they're written in a certain way. Discovery kind of broke that down. Why is this character doing this? Well, it's because they suffered a trauma as a child. Let's go into that. And they do explore that. The unfortunate thing is they've done it for only 3 of our main characters at the expense of an entire cast.
Right.
I still don't know much about Stamets, other than the fact that Stamets has got an uncle who did a Beatles cover band. I don't know anything about his background other than his relationship with Culber.
Yes.
We don't know anything about it, and he flies the ship. He's the one in charge of jumping. We should know more about him, surely.
I missed 26 episodes. I missed the filler episodes, the character development. Like, I know they're being efficient and it's highly cinematic and they're pouring all kinds of money into it, but I missed those stupid episodes that it really doesn't have any consequence for anything other than you get some good character development, and we're missing that. Like, I want to know more about Detmer. She's beautiful and she's a cyborg and she's a redhead, which I'm partial to. So I want to know more about her.
Yeah.
I want to know more about
and it looked like they were going to do that.
Yeah. Owo can hold her breath for 10 minutes. Well, let's find out why.
Exactly. At no point did they set that up. They had this great moment in the dinner table when Detmer has her breakdown because of her PTSD, and Owo is the one calming her down. Wouldn't it have been great to just have 2 seconds where Owo says, "Remember those breathing techniques I told you about? The ones I learned from back home?
Right.
Here's how you can hold your breath for 2 minutes."
More foreshadowing.
Oh, in the final episode, foreshadow the thing. Build it in as an arc. The biggest arc for me, I know it makes me sound like a Burnham hater, tell me I'm a racist or something, but Burnham shouldn't have been the captain in the end. If you look at the whole season, the whole thing was about her getting away from the Federation.
Right.
She wanted to save it, but she had given it up. She'd seen a new way of living. She'd been with her boyfriend Book, and she'd seen the life of a courier. All of the conversations, every conversation she'd had with Saru was about how she saw a different way of doing things. They should have ended this season where Saru is still the captain. He's just gone on leave to help Sukal adjust. He's going to come back for the next season. she goes away to become maybe, captain of the couriers, and she lives this life. And next season was about regret and, regretting your decisions, and maybe actually it was better the way you liked it before. And she will come back and rescue the Federation and, deliver all the dilithium and everything like this. And then she becomes the captain of the Discovery. She does need to be it. That's where the show has to go. But this season just felt one season too early, and she shouldn't be the captain now. She should be the captain next season.
So they rush everything, and there's way too few episodes in order to do it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
with 26 episodes, that could work. They could give us all that character development, and they wouldn't have to rush it. And maybe you won't get any space candles with ghosts in them that want to make love to you. And maybe you won't get those episodes, but you'll still get a lot more character development. We'll find out a bit more about a character other than one line about what they did back home about learning to hold their breath.
Exactly.
I don't know.
That's right. But you can tell we're Star Trek fans because we can criticize the heck out of it and still love it, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. But no, it is a well-written show. It is well worth getting people into.
And I think that right there is the end of our spoiler-filled review. What do you think?
Yeah. Apologies, I've waffled. I've had no one else to talk to about this.
Me neither. It's very sad. So. To end the show, I wanted to bring up one last thing. In previous episodes, I've mentioned how I love the Eagle Moss Starship of the Month Collector Club. And you've helped me order through them because it's British, and you've called for them to change my address and all kinds of stuff for me. I got an email there a month ago, said that they stopped because of COVID, no more deliveries to Canada. So they said, here's a 20% off coupon. You can order as many ships as you want to complete your collection. So I did. I ordered 6 final ships. They were supposed to come in last Friday. They didn't come in until yesterday, but they did come. They're here, and I just wanted to mention that I've got them. These are the 6 that I ordered. I'll show you on camera, but our listeners can just hear what I'm saying. I've got
the J.
J, the USS Enterprise from the Cage. It's the special issue. It has the little nubby things on the nacelles. Other one that I got was Friendship 1 from Voyager, if you can see that.
Oh, nice.
The probe from that episode. Now, Voyager is my least favorite show, but they had some cool stuff in there. The other one I've got is the ISS Enterprise NX-01, because that's my favorite Enterprise design, the NX-01. There's just something about it that I love.
Yeah.
Speaking of Voyager, I've got Captain Proton's rocket ship.
Nice. Oh, I do like that.
I had to get that. And the final
perfect.
The final one that I ordered was the Promelian battle cruiser from the episode Booby Trap.
Did no one play with ships in bottles when they were boys?
That's exactly
I was not a boy.
right.
I did not play with ships. I did, sir. It was absolutely fine.
Ship in the bottle. Oh, good Lord. Didn't anybody here build ships in bottles when they were boys?
I did not play with toys.
I was never a boy.
I did, sir.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
I did. I really did. Ships and bottles. It's great fun.
Yes.
The suck up O'Brien. Absolutely.
That's right. Yep. So
I freaking love that episode.
So those came in. They're still in the box. I haven't put them up on my shelf yet, but I've got 6 spaces left on the shelf, so it's perfect.
So what are you going to do with the other 3 shelves?
I'll put some action figures on there, probably.
Fair enough.
Maybe what I'll do is buy one of those fancy lightsabers that your buddy has from that episode that we just recorded of Cosmic Pizza.
Yes, the 2-hour spectacular episode that we managed to record. That was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Get yourself some lightsabers, and then when you come over, you'll have to get them through customs, obviously. But when you finally come over to the UK, we can do some lightsaber fights.
Yes, one of these days I'll get over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the end of our Rusted Robot podcast episode. I appreciate you joining me for that, Dan.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for inviting me.
Did you want to promote Temporal Trek one more time? Let our listeners know where they can find that.
Oh, go for it. Absolutely. The Temporal Trek is a chronological rewatch of Star Trek, not by how they were released, not by the internal timeline. It is by scene. So we go through time from the Big Bang all the way to the ends of the universe, and it's just me in part history lesson, part radio play, and part Star Trek rewatch, and I do silly characters, and there's lots of things going on, and I have some great guests, Sean included, who have come on and helped me watch these odd scenes in history through Star Trek.
Yes, it's a fantastic show. I love it. You need to get more of those episodes out there, and I know you will. It's busy. It's hard to do.
I'm on it. Well, we finished the scenes bit now. We are now into the episodes proper. I've got like I say, a few more to record, and then we start with Enterprise, and we're going to go all the way through to Disco, to season 3 of Disco. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. All right, listeners. So take care. Remember, at the end of the episode, after the first part of the end credits, I'm going to have 3 different clips from Delenn from various episodes of Babylon 5 that are very poignant and really show her acting chops. And until next time, take care, and remember, we are all Star Stuff. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rusted Robot Podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit therustedrobot.podbean.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Rusted Robot Podcast is your best source for geek-style pop culture news.
I could do this all day.
What does the candle represent?
Life.
Whose life?
All life. Every life. We are all born as molecules in the hearts of a billion stars. Molecules that do not understand politics or policies or differences. Over 1 billion years, we, foolish molecules, forget who we are and where we came from. Desperate acts of ego. We give ourselves names, fight over lines on maps, and pretend that our light is better than everyone else's. The flame reminds us of the peace of those stars that lives on inside us. The spark that tells us you should know better. The flame also reminds us that life is precious, as each flame is unique. When it goes out, it's gone forever. There will never be another quite like it.
Captain, I can come back if you wish to be alone.
No. Please.
I heard the news. I'm sorry for your loss.
That's the hard part, isn't it? Sending young people out to die.
But they saved others. At the right moment, they were in the right place and knew what to do, as you did.
What makes you think this is the right place for me?
The universe puts us in places where we can learn. They are never easy places, but they are right. Wherever we are is the right place and the right time. The pain that sometimes comes is part of the process of constantly being born.
You sound like you've been doing some thinking about this on your own.
Perhaps. We are both, I suppose, going through transitions. But the universe knows what it's doing.
I wish I had your faith in the universe. I just don't see it sometimes.
Then I will tell you a great secret, Captain. Perhaps the greatest of all time. The molecules of your body are the same molecules that make up this station, and the nebula outside that burn inside the stars themselves. We are star stuff. We are the universe made manifest, trying to figure itself out. But as we have both learned, sometimes the universe requires a change of perspective. When I was first assigned to Babylon 5, I had to learn to speak several languages. Drazi, Rakiri, Centauri, and of course English, the human language of commerce. Some words have always come easier to me than the others. One of the most difficult words for me was goodbye. There is no corresponding word for goodbye in Minbari. All our partings contain within them the possibility of meeting again. In other places, in other times, in other lives. So you will excuse me if
do not say goodbye. Our souls are a part of this place. Our hopes, the foundation of our future. And we will pass this way again.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.